Went to camp with a boy, Applebaum, and
We're live.
Hey guys, fully live. Usually you say we're live and you never press record. Lance.
I pressed record because you were giving me a hard time about time.
I know I do.
And I
hey
can't
guys,
see anything.
How are you? Don't be alarmed, but we're in May, and I'm wearing 3 layers. Why? Because, as I say, every single week somehow Mother Nature knows then what I'm going to do. Some sort of periscope shooting. It is like 5 degrees outside. So it is May something, right? It's like middle of May, and it's May 16th, and it's freezing. You can't see it because the sun's out, but it'll go in a second, and then you'll see what freezing really looks like. And there are a million people here watching me, and I say this every single week. Somewhere out there's a polar bear that's like, why did you have to use hairspray in the 80s? Anyway, that being said, last week I talked to you guys about motherhood and how crazy it is. Why? Because my little one, I found out, gets car sick. We didn't know that. We learned it I learned it. I say we. I learned it the hard way on an hour-long trip up to my parents. This week I learned about potty training because we took my 2-year-old and decided this is the week we're going to start potty training. And like ripping off the Band-Aid of life, instead of doing it slowly, we decided we would go from diapers to just not wearing diapers and see where the chips fell. And they fell. In fact, 5 seconds after we put her in underwear, she was like, well, this is fun. Let me see what it's like if I just go. So she just went, and then the smaller one came running through and splashing around, and it was joy for everybody is what it was. But now 4 or 5 days in, she's only had 1 accident. We are ridiculously proud of her. I can't even imagine what it's like to have to learn an entire new skill set, like holding it in. And I'll share one quick story with you just so you know how literal kids can be. We were on the bus on the way to school, and she goes, mommy, I have pee. And I said, okay, hold it in. She put her hand there. That's why she's been holding it, because I keep telling her it's not going to fall off. Don't hold it. But then everyone around her tells her to hold it till we get to school. So she was literally holding it until we got to school. Didn't understand that holding it comes from the inside and not the outside. So if anyone walking around sees my kid holding it, you'll know it's because she's just listening to us tell her that she needs to hold it. That being said, toilet training is well underway. So if I divvy up the big things in life, there aren't that many more. You know, we ate solids, and then we dealt with car sickness, and we're potty trained. Everything else is just like gravy, right? Everything else is still just learned by osmosis, and that'll be the end of it. So I'm very happy. So that was my week, and other than that, I think everything else is falling into place ever so calmly. That's not true. Life is crazy, but for purposes of what we're going to talk about today, let's just say potty training was my big check off the bucket list of life. Although 5 years ago, if you told me that I'd even have a conversation with someone about potty training, I'd be like, you're nuts. Could there be a less boring topic? Now I've told every single person I know about potty training, my 2-year-old. So there you go. We have a really fun lineup today, if you'd call it a lineup. Some really interesting people whose paths I probably wouldn't ever cross, and now I get to, and I get to learn about them, and that's what's really fun and exciting. Yeah, Ciara is our first person who's hanging out here. I normally would talk forever about my trials and tribulations, but this tall, beautiful, athletic cup of water just walked in. Can I call you that?
Go for it.
Ciara Applebaum.
Applebaum, yeah.
Applebaum. I just say that because of that great Seinfeld episode with Mandelbaum, which you're like, I've never heard of that show. That was on back when TV was black and white. You're like 8. How old are you?
I'm 19.
19 years old. I don't remember what life was like at 19. So you were born in what, like 2012?
96.
1996. Mm-hmm. I used to hate when adults did that to me, like, 1974, like, I was married in 70. I'm like, shut up with the married in 74. Meanwhile,
still a
like,
90s baby.
1996, I was graduating college, and I was like, I'm gonna do television. Hold on, world, I'm almost there. So Ciara is, as you saw, 7'12", which means she's good at 2 things in life: getting everything off the top shelf and volleyball. Mm-hmm. Am I right? Have I narrowed it down?
Yeah, pretty much.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Houston, Texas.
Which is where you're heading back to.
Which
right
I'm happy
this.
Because it's nice and warm down there.
As opposed to
away from here in New York.
How long you been in New York?
I flew in on Thursday, so just kind of through the weekend.
And why were you here?
I was here mostly because my dad's a public speaker with Applebaum Training Institute, and he had a seminar with like 600 teachers, and so I just came, my mom and I, with him and did some exploring. I'm a writer at the Tab, so I got to go to their offices that are located here.
Nice.
So I got to meet some of my editors, so that was fun. And then now I'm with you. So.
Now you're with me, which really rounds out the weekend.
Yeah.
You're what year in school?
I'm a rising senior.
What does that mean? You get up in the morning? Really have no idea.
No, it means like I'm in the summer before my senior year.
Oh, is that what rising means?
Yes.
Someone needs to go back to school. I'm like a rising educator. That means I need to get ready to be educated. And you played volleyball.
I did.
At Wake Forest?
Wake Forest University.
For people that don't know how good Wake Forest is, why don't you tell them how good Wake Forest is in volleyball?
Wake Forest, well, we're in the ACC. We're the smallest school in the ACC, but we're still in the ACC nonetheless.
You guys understand how big and how awesome and how powerful and how good the ACC is? I'm sure you've heard of it. There's like 8 conferences. I don't know, maybe there's more or less. The ACC is the big, dominant one, especially when it comes to, I'm going to just say, like women's volleyball. Is that true? I mean, Stanford's not in the ACC. I know they're pretty good, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Stanford's awesome. But yeah, ACC volleyball is tough. Every game we would play, we just knew we didn't have any like easy give-me games. We always would have to play really hard.
Right. And you played coming in as a freshman?
I did.
You did. So so for people that don't realize it, and just so you know, they've decided now's a good time to cut down trees behind us. They've been doing nothing for the last 8 hours. And now they're like, is she on Periscope? Let's make it cold and let's cut down all the trees. Everything in New York, cut it down. So my apologies for what seems like drumming in my head. I played volleyball. But when I say I played volleyball, that would be like you saying, you know, like, oh, I wrote my name on a piece of paper. It's like nothing compared to what you did. I played Division III. We bopped around a little bit.
We
wore fancy uniforms.
Though.
I got some hops. I'm not going to lie, Sarah. I have some hops. I can get up there. But me jumping as high as I can is you literally standing up from a chair. There's like a big difference.
I wasn't blessed with the vertical. No.
Because you didn't have to be. Because you are vertical.
Yeah.
I'm horizontal. So I needed to be blessed with vertical. Okay? So the reason we're talking to you today, well, what I find really interesting is it seems like life is really great for you, right? It seems like life is super easy. You're tall, you're beautiful, you're obviously very smart, you're talented. You go to Wake Forest and you decide you're going to play volleyball and life is going to be great, right? You're going to be an athlete and you're going to make friends and what could possibly go wrong? But I don't think people really break that down into what it takes and what you encounter and things that happen along the way. So maybe you could put into your words what the last few years have been like playing volleyball and what the experience was like for you. If you're okay.
Yeah, that's
okay,
fine. So volleyball, kind of like what you were saying, when I first came to Wake Forest, I was so excited. I was like, this is a dream come true. This is everything I worked for. You know, I think I started playing when I was 12 years old. So literally since I was 12, you know, everything I've worked for.
You figured, we've made it. We are done. We're set. Happiness. This is what happiness is, right?
Yeah, I was so thrilled, like Demon Deacon through and through. That's our mascot, Demon Deacon. I don't know who came up with that.
Right.
But then whenever I came onto campus, I realized kind of some like signs that things weren't right within the volleyball program. I started kind of hearing some stories from teammates and realized that, hey, you know, things aren't normal with the coach, and kind of heard stories. And then
stories about what? About how strict he is, about how...
Yeah, just kind of how, I don't know if it's the right term, but kind of like abusive, and just kind of had a rage about him, you know, was kind of inappropriate with the players. So I heard stories about that. I kind of tossed them to the side and was like, so I was so excited to where I was, and I was like, you know, like I'm just gonna throw that over my shoulder. I'm at Wake. Then I started experiencing kind of the same things I was hearing about myself, and that's when I realized, like this experience, this great experience, you know, isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Like, was he a bully? Like, was it a wrath? Was it yelling? Like, can you give me an example of what you mean? Like, I mean, I think of a crazy coach. I mean, I think of like the Bill Parcells and the Bobby Knights of the world. You know, like they want to win, and so they're going to they're going to extract everything out of their players. What's the difference between that and what you went through?
Well, I love working for a tough coach. I had a tough coach in club volleyball, high school volleyball, you know, who pushed you to work your hardest, pushed you to be your best. This wasn't the case with this coach. She didn't push you to be your best. She was there to humiliate and degrade you. It wasn't to motivate you, kind of the techniques that he used.
How long did that go on for?
It went on I was on the team for 3 semesters, and then I decided to leave the team.
How hard was that decision for you?
It was it was actually pretty hard for me, just because I had a full scholarship. It seems easy to walk away from like an abusive coach.
Oh, but it's not.
But whenever you have like that money on the line, you know, Wake Forest isn't a cheap school by any means.
You feel like
really
you owe
hard.
them something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that they paid up, and then you feel like you fulfill your end of the bargain.
Yeah.
Did you ever speak to him about it? Did you guys butt heads? Did you speak to other teammates about it?
Yeah, the whole team and I at one point, you know, decided, you know, enough's enough. We're not going to deal with this anymore. He was a fairly new coach. So we all kind of stood together, and we went to the athletic department. We confronted the coach himself. And, you know, not nearly enough was done for the safety of me and my teammates. And, you know, after fighting to, you know, get some structure in the program, it kind of fell through. And at that point, I was so miserable on the team that I decided to leave.
Did anyone else leave?
Yeah.
They did?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal for the school to have people actually walk off because of the coach.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I was just kind of enjoying life after I left the team. Kind of leaving volleyball was a blessing, because it kind of showed me new passions that I hadn't really found, because I was so busy with volleyball. So it was great. It was loving life. I got really into journalism and realized that's what I want to do with my life. And I had the opportunity to start working for the Tab, Wake Forest, as a writer. And whenever they're like, what do you want your first article to be, when I first joined,
This was it.
I knew, like, this is what I want to write about. So I wrote a piece that's on my Twitter, and it's basically kind of shows some examples of his behaviors. It shows kind of me and how my journey through it all and out of it, and it got a lot of attention. I think it got like 20,000 views, and it was just great to like get that out there.
Was it easy to write or hard to write?
It was easy to write, but hard to publish.
Okay.
Just because I knew that I was going to get feedback kind of on the positive side, but also like naturally on the negative side. But I knew that this is something I needed to get out there.
Yeah.
And the response was great when I released it. I got a lot of support. And it also inspired the Old Gold and Black, which is like our student newspaper, to write like a more investigative piece on the whole situation, with more players and parents coming out in that article. And kind of the combo of my Tab article as well as like the Old Gold and Black article, he resigned recently.
He did.
So he's out
of
there.
A lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever speak to him again?
No.
You never did.
Mm-mm.
You know, there's one thing in life to complain and to sort of, you know, gripe amongst your friends and your family and maybe even in school, but it takes an enormous amount of courage and will and bravery, I guess, to be able to put it out there regardless of what comes back to you, right? Yeah. So first you took this huge chance and you just walked away from what you love to do, which had to tear you apart because that's why you went there. And then to write about it, knowing that it was either going to be well received or not well received, and you sort of have to, sometimes in life, like, there are two kinds of people: the people that are going to make waves and the people that are going to get sort of, you know, pushed along by the tide. And you didn't care if you were going to make any waves. You decided that you were just going to do this regardless. How tough a decision was that for you?
It was actually kind of easier than I thought, because I had sat on that for a while. I released the article a year after I left the team, and something inside me was still just kind of aching to, like, that this was happening, and there was silence.
Yeah.
There was still silence going on. It had been a year, and it was just a quiet, you know, under the radar situation. So something inside me was just kind of begging to, like, break that silence, at least, like, to get a dialogue going that, you know, like, there's a problem on our campus that needs to be addressed.
Do you blame the school for not doing anything about it, for not listening to you?
Well, I love Wake Forest. That's one of the reasons why I didn't transfer and wanted to stay, because I love my university. Unfortunately, I am disappointed in the athletic department and how they chose to handle the situation. But overall, I love Wake Forest still.
When you had that conversation with him to say you're dropping off the team, what was that conversation like? And was there any part of it that was fulfilling to you?
It was the biggest release I've ever felt whenever I told him that I was leaving. It was just kind of like a wave of all this that has been happening just dropped. Like all the weights on my shoulders just gone.
Yeah. What was his reaction?
Fabulous. I mean, he remained pretty professional about it. And
did he understand why? Did you tell him why you were leaving?
Yeah, he knew that there was problems. He knew that the team, we didn't really have respect for the coach, and we had addressed him with problems, and so we didn't have the best relationship.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's surprising to me. When I was at my first job in Binghamton, New York, I had a similar situation with our boss at the time, and he was just, I don't know if he thought he was trying to do right by everyone by yelling and screaming and, you know, degrading and demeaning in person. He would do that in front of everybody, but it just didn't work, and it was backfiring. And I had the same situation where I finally couldn't take it anymore, and I waited till I found another job before I walked in, and I gave my notice. And I replayed that conversation, Sarah, over in my head, and I remember what I was wearing. This was like 15 years ago. I remember more than that. My gosh, it was like probably 20 years ago. I remember what I was wearing. I remember the way I said it. I remember walking in and seeing the expression on his face. I remember not knowing how he was going to react and not caring for the first time, walking into work and not caring if he yelled at me or not, because I no longer was going to let him affect me in that way. And I got stronger after that. I wasn't taking my problems and running away from them. I faced them head on, dealt with it, me, myself, and I, and then I walked away stronger.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that the experience broke you down a little bit or picked you up?
I think it definitely picks me up. I feel like I'm a lot stronger. Through the process, I found my voice, like through writing, through speaking, and you know, the real moment for me wasn't, you know, telling him I was leaving the team. It actually came a little after, whenever a scholarship player leaves a team, that they're required to have like a hearing for their scholarship, to keep their scholarship or not. And during the hearing, I got the chance to address the coach as well as the committee.
Oh wow!
And kind of tell them. I took the opportunity to tell them my story and my experiences that I had of inappropriate behavior by the coach. You know, to his face, straight to his face. And that was just facing my biggest demon right in front of me. And as soon as I left that meeting, I left a stronger person.
That's great. And did he respond to you when you said that to him, when you were able to actually speak with him there and let everyone understand why you were leaving?
Yeah, unfortunately his response wasn't well. He just denied what I said.
He did.
But I still got what I needed to get off my chest.
Yeah, you did. And now you got to write about it. What's the next step for you? What are the next few years going to look like for you?
Well,
getting back to Houston.
Yes. This summer I have a really awesome opportunity to go to Rome and do journalism over there with Wake Forest.
Nice.
So I'm really excited. I have some really cool interviews while I'm over there. And then I'm directly enrolling in the University of Cambridge in England.
Get out of here!
Yeah, so
Literally, get out of here. Go to London. Get out of here.
So I'm really excited for the chance to study abroad. That was one of the things when I left the volleyball team. I was like, I'm going to study abroad. This is what I've always wanted to do, but I couldn't do it while I was on the team. So now I'm going to go for it. And if I was on the team, like I said, I wouldn't have the opportunity. So
it's amazing, right? We think that we have an idea of the way life is supposed to go, right? If I asked you 5 years ago, your life was supposed to go this way, and then you were going to play volleyball for 4 years, and then who knows, maybe you would do something in volleyball, who knows?
Yeah.
But sometimes, and I call these these crossroads in life, or a curveball gets thrown at you, something gets dropped in your lap that's forcing you to decide either you stay on the same path, even though life has changed a little bit, or maybe you make a sharp left turn and you do something completely different, and it seems foreign and different and not what you had planned.
Yeah.
But that's what life's all about, right? That's the most beautiful part about life, is that you have no idea. We can plan till we're blue in the face, but you have no idea what's coming around the bend. And for you, look how your life has changed in such a great way. You're going to be in Rome. You're going to be working. You're going to be doing, I don't know anything about this journalism stuff, but journalism in Rome, I mean, that's fantastic. That's really, really great.
Yeah.
Are you? I know the experience obviously was not a pleasant one, but what came out of it, being able to write about it and talk about it and look inside yourself and figure out who you are and what you're made of, and now reaping the benefits of being able to have this free time, Do you walk away thinking maybe this is, everything sort of worked out the way it was supposed to?
Definitely. I've even told my parents, you know, gosh, like I can see just things lining up just how they need to be from this experience. Like it was a bad experience, but it's turning into so much like from that experience, and like I've learned so much from it that it's just carrying me on to the next things that I'm going to be doing.
That's so great. All right, well, you go to Rome, bring me back, I don't know, like some pasta, like obviously the low carb kind, and then I want you to have the best time. But when you come back, maybe we'll play some volleyball.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I mean, I'm no Ciara or anything, but I gotta tell you, I was not bad. I could hold my own on a little court, and you and I played the same position.
Yeah.
We're not going to stand up, because if we stood up, I would come up to her vagina, and she would be like that high, just so you know. So it was a little difficult for me to keep up. But I love that you stopped by, and I really appreciate it. I wish
so
you
nice to meet
nothing
you.
but the best of luck. This is
Thank you.
obviously where you were supposed to go, in the direction you're supposed to be heading in. So take it and run with it, and throw caution to the wind, and just go enjoy everything that you never in a million years thought you'd be able to do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, let's hug. We're going to hug it out.
Hug it out.
All right, we'll be back.